special edition of the Vetiva Breakfast Meeting, brought to you by Vetiva Capital Management in partnership with Frontier Africa Reports. I'd like to remind everyone before we begin that this meeting is being recorded and may be shared with third parties, as well as being broadcast live on Facebook. This meeting is scheduled to hold for 30 minutes, inclusive of Q&A. However, if due to time constraints, we are unable to answer all of your questions, do feel free to forward them to research@vetiva.com and we'll get back to you as quickly as possible. Today, we'll be hearing from our special guest speaker, Teresa Oji, the Managing Director of Vetiva Trustees Limited, and she will be speaking to us about accessing global markets via trust. But first, we'll get a quick rundown of the capital markets from our equity and fixed income traders and a quick word from our partners at Frontier Africa. So to start with, we'll go to our fixed income trader, Omo again, for a quick rundown of the fixed income and currency markets. Good morning, Omo again.
Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Quickly, I'll start with the money market. The money market was quite liquid yesterday. Our system opening figures was about 175.51 billion positive, coming from 95.6 billion, where it opened on Wednesday. However, money market rates inched up to trade between 15% to 17%, coming from between 12% to 13% recorded on Wednesday. The uptick in money market rates, despite the improved system liquidity, was as a result of the increased demand for funds, as players made provisions for the Omo auction debit. It is worthy to know that FAC credit of about 290.4 billion came into the system during the closing hours of yesterday's trading session. So our expectation for today is that money market will trade at lower levels, given system liquidity has improved significantly on the back of FAC credit that came in yesterday. However, the bond auction settlement that is happening today of about 262.08 billion may strain system liquidity. Moving on to the FS market, despite the significant improvement in I&E industry turnover yesterday, the parallel market maintained to trade around 486 naira to $1, while the I&E window traded at a high of 411.40 naira to $1, closing at 409.75 naira to $1. For the CBN interbank market, we saw that close at 381 naira to $1. As earlier said, the I&E industry turnover increased significantly to $171.85 million yesterday, coming from the 34.76 million where it closed on Wednesday. Our expectation is that Naira will maintain current levels. Moving on to the T-bills market, the T-bills market was very active yesterday, as a lot of players continue to offload their position with the view that short-term interest rates will increase further at the next primary auction. It was a different ball game in the Omo segment, as players decided to stay on the sidelines and wait on the Omo auction results. At the Omo auction, the CBN sold a total of 40 billion. This is the lowest Omo sale we have seen this year. The previous lowest Omo sale was about 60 billion. The CBN maintained rate across the three tenor for the seventh time in a row. The short, mid, and long end closed at 7%, 8.5%, and 10.1% respectively. Our expectation for today's market is that we'll continue to see sell-off in NTB securities up until next week primary market auction. I'll conclude with the bonds desk. The bonds market continued trading in a muted theme post-auction. We saw a lot of players looking to offload their positions, while we saw very few bids. We also saw active bidding on the 2049s at around 11.9% levels. We also saw active bidding on the 2045. We saw bids as high as 12.2% during the start of yesterday's trading session, as players factored in the significant amount that was issued on that particular bond in the last auction. But during the latter part of the day, we saw bids moderate to trade to about 12%. That's exactly the marginal rate at the last auction. So our expectation for today is that there will be a pickup in activity in the bond space, with players looking to close out their position before quarter end reporting. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Amori, again. Next, we move to Sheung, our equity trader, the rundown of the West African market and the Nigerian stock exchange. Good morning, Sheung.
Good morning, Joshua, and good morning, everyone. We'll take a quick look at market across West Africa, and starting with BRVM, the market sustained its losing streak with another 53 bips downward close for an overall year-to-date loss of negative 3.96%. With the market breadth also closing down negative with 8 gainers and 13 losers in this session. Quickly, we'll move to Ghana. In Ghana, the Ghana Stock Exchange Composite Index for the third consecutive day didn't change as the market closed flat to maintain its year-to-date at 14.06%. There was substantial decline in the market activity with 60 and 62% decline in volume and value traded respectively in that market. So moving quickly to Nigeria, the Nigerian Stock Exchange, as the all-share index, sustained positive close in previous session with a 53 bips positive return. We saw demand in some of the previously beaten down names such as Axis Bank, ETI, and WAPCO, amongst others. Sell-offs were mainly in small cap counters, which were not strong enough to drag the market to a negative close. Speaking to activity was dominated again with crosses. We saw crosses in MTN, which closed up 124 bips, as well as in GTB, which also closed up 48 bips. Investors also continued to react positively to the corporate action declared by Stanbic, as we saw a 918 bips daily gain on the stock in the last session. Aside crosses, market activity would have been slow, which confirms investor strategy to continue to watch markets largely pending some clarity. For activity level, that also moderated significantly, like we also saw in other markets across West Africa, with turnover and volume declining 33 and 37% respectively. We saw the banking sector finally return to the green in yesterday's session with a 60 bips positive close. Insurance and industrial goods were also other subsectors that closed in the green, while consumer goods and oil and gas ended the session lower. Quickly moving into today and what we see for the rest of for the week to close, we do not see a deviation from yesterday's pattern as investors continue to cherry pick, beating down names like I mentioned earlier, but we think this will be done cautiously, which will also keep activity level lower, except to see those large crosses that we've seen in GT Bank, MTN, and a few other names. So we'll just continue to look out for that, but we believe market should close according to yesterday's pattern. We believe the market should close the week in the green. Currently, the week to date stands at 2.37%. So barring any significant loss in any of the heavyweight stocks, we believe the week should close in the green. That'll be it for the equities market. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Sean. Next, we'll be hearing from Temple Ashaju, our partner from Africa Reports. Good morning, Temple.
Good morning, all. We'll begin from eastern part of Africa, where the Kenyan Parliament is now planning to set new law to limit treasury borrowing. And the aim is to reduce the country's external and internal debts, as this will also lead to an amendment of the Public Finance Management Act in that country. In Somalia, you have that the IMF, International Monetary Fund, granted a fresh interim assistance funds to that country to the tune of $0.97 million. The loan was granted under the enhanced heavily indebted Poor Countries Initiative, the HIPC program that they have there. And the interim assistance will actually cover Somalia's debt service obligations to from March the 25th this year to March 24th of 2022. Well, for Uganda, the Ministry of Finance there reports a decline in a drop in interest rates to 17.4%. For the western part of Africa, Ghana approves the permanent exemption of taxes on capital gains, that's on listed securities, and this should give an upside potential to the general markets in short to medium term. It will also help them get some foreign capital inflows. Those are the reasons that they give for that. For the Cote d'Ivoire market, the Ivorian market, the understanding is that they've secured some 64.2 billion CFA loan to construct their floating solar power plant. And we all know that Cote d'Ivoire has a target of generating at least 42% of its power from renewable sources, I think by the end of 2030. 400 megawatts of all of that is expected to be from solar. Key for us in the southern part of Africa is that South Africa's inflation slowed, of course, to 2.9% for the month of February. We came to you with that update yesterday. So on that basis, the South African Reserve Bank held rates at 3.5%, in spite of the fact that the inflation figure is currently below the end of the 3% to 6% CPI targets. But they bore in mind that from April the 1st, I think petrol prices are expected to rise by R1. And of course, food prices are also expected to jump. So finally is the northern part of Africa, where you have Egypt's Kuwait Holding requesting $281.7 million capital raise from $256 million. We know that Egypt's Kuwait Holding is quite heavy in fertilizer production, petrochemical gas distribution, and electricity generation. They're also in the insurance space. So all that, I think, basically is to help them beef up their working capital, because at the end of the day, they'll be issuing 102 million shares at the nominal value of 25 cents equivalent in the local currency. These are our headlines for today at Frontier Africa Reports. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, Temple. Now we'll be hearing from the Managing Director of Vetiva Trustees Limited. Teresa's corporate experience spans various aspects of people management, including legal and client services, as well as human capital. She has over 13 years experience in the provision of private and corporate trust services and distinct competence in structuring bespoke trusts for a wide range of clients. He is actively involved in various capital market transactions for Vetiva's corporate clients, as well as the structuring, setup, administration, and management of estate planning arrangements for private individuals. Teresa is a member of the Nigerian Bar Association and holds an LLM in International Business Law from the University of London, a postgraduate certificate in International Commercial Arbitration from the same institution, and a Bachelor of Law degree from the University of Benin. Good morning, Teresa. You have the floor.
Thank you, Joshua. Good morning. Could you confirm you can hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Great, thank you. Good morning, everyone. I would like to start off by stating that the review of market performance does provide us with a premise for the product we are discussing today, in that the need to aim for a more diversified portfolio is more glaring than it ever was, and not only with respect to asset allocation under your portfolio, but also with an eye on hedging currency exposures as much as possible. So it's with these key points in mind, and of course, never forgetting our strongly held beliefs that a successful and responsible financial plan must include an element of estate planning, that we at Vetiva have structured the Vetiva Global Securities Trust, or as we like to simply call it, the VGST. Now, the VGST is a tailored private trust service. What that means is that we have tailored it to suit certain interested individuals to give them access to the phenomenal global securities market, and at the same time, harnessing the unique benefits of consolidating and holding those securities or assets under a living trust. And what we simply mean by that is that with the VGST, you're able to kill not just 2 birds, but 3 birds with 1 stone. Or should I say at least 3 birds with 1 stone? Because you can get to expand your portfolio with the inclusion of more asset classes. So for instance, imagine not only having the Vetiver ETFs under your portfolio, but also access to other listed foreign ETFs, which are a lot, as we have been told in the past. The same with foreign securities, as well as foreign fixed income products. Secondly, you hedge against currency exposure, as the securities that you may have under this portfolio may be either US dollar or British pound sterling based. Thirdly, there's the added benefit of the ease of transmission of the portfolio asset to your loved ones or preferred beneficiaries, coupled with other benefits of confidentiality and flexibility that come with having been structured under a living trust. The VGST has been structured for a sophisticated clientele who want to access international securities market, but may not be able to do so for varied reasons. Such reasons might include the high account opening thresholds that are set by international brokers for individual clients, and also the possible red tape they might experience in opening these accounts and so forth. So more or less, Vetiver steps in that space and holds that gap for each and every client. Excuse me. Now, interested individuals can sign up for the VGST and commence trading with a minimum of 10,000 US dollars. And we have structured the account opening process to be as painless as possible, because we know how painstaking that can be. Upon conclusion of the account opening process, you are required to fund your account and then send in your trade instructions for execution. Vetiver will communicate your trade instructions with our ever-expanding list of international brokers and provide you periodic statements on your accounts and upon request. We're also working on creating a managed account for those clients who may not have the time or the skill to monitor or build their own foreign equity or fixed income portfolios. More on that in the nearest future. And we also continue to work on improving the customer experience with the product, because as I mentioned earlier, it is a bespoke product, so it's tailored to achieving client objective with respect to balancing their individual portfolios. We're able to provide more specific information or clarification on the VGST. So please reach out to us by sending us an email at sales@vetiver.com or trustees@vetiver.com. I will take any questions now. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Teresa. We will now take questions. I see that we already have a hand up from James Odiato. James, you'll be allowed to speak. Please go ahead.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, Teresa, good morning. I just want to know what you can do in terms of existing relationship. Like, I have an education trust with you. So is this something that can seamlessly latch onto this program? And if so, how easy will it be to consolidate this program with any other offshore investment I may have?
Okay, thank you for that question, sir, and good morning. For the VGST, because the product is mainly foreign currency based, and due to the fact that we have so much challenges, with foreign currency and the policies of the CBN, we usually require interested participants or clients to fund their accounts with foreign currency. Now, it's a bit different from the education trust plan, which is already Naira based. So if one were to consider wanting to convert the VTP to a VGST, then it means that we would have to find a way to convert your Naira to dollars. And as you know, right now, those considerations are they're a bit iffy because of the CBN policies that we have to deal with. But I'm sure that on a case-by-case basis, we should be able to figure something out for interested clients working with our other subsidiaries under Vetiva. So I would suggest that maybe you approach one of the subsidiaries and we can discuss further on how to go about it. But basically, the VGST is a foreign currency based product. So we usually request for foreign currency to fund the account to get started right away.
Okay, thank you. I will approach you.
Thank you, sir.
No one else. I'm coming to you.
All right, sir.
Thank you for that question. We have another hand up from Queen Victoria Victor. Please go ahead and ask your question. Good morning.
Hello, good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
My name is Dr. Victor, and I want to find out if you have a trust arrangement where an asset, immovable property, can be put in as a basis for eventual leverage to take facilities from the bank. Because the clients will want to use it for the purpose of executing other projects that require him to have liquid cash. That's my question.
Okay, thank you for that question. Good morning. You definitely can put any kind of asset that can be owned under a trust structure. So whether it's movable, tangible or intangible, so far it can be owned, and there's a title document to it. You most definitely can put it under a security trust structure. As it is often said, your collateral is as good as the acceptance of it by the lender. So if the bank is willing to take that asset, then most definitely you can have it under a trust structure to securitize a loan that you're taking from the bank for your business. Vetiver Trustees also handles security trust transactions, and we will be able to help you, come up with the structure. If you can just send us an email, maybe immediately after this meeting, to trustees@vetiver.com.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you for that question. We have another question in the chat box from BC Sandar. It asks, using hypothetical $50,000 trading fund, if you are asked to buy Tesla, is it possible? And what will be the transaction cost? And also, if you are asked to sell the shares and you succeed, how long will it take for the proceeds to be repatriated?
Okay, so yes, we should be able to buy Tesla, depending on the price as at date. It may be, not less than $100 for the trade, depending on the price and number of shares. Because for trades in the US, they're usually charged per share that you purchase and not per value. To repatriate the funds, of course, they credit our account and they do a transfer. So typically, 3 to 5 business days is the expected turnaround period to get the funds back, because we have a custodian who would receive the funds and then maybe credit your account once it gets over here to Nigeria. So it's actually possible. And I also mentioned that we continue to make that process a bit more customer friendly, of course, with respect to regulatory and other challenges that typical Nigerian transactions face.
Thank you for that answer. If you have any more questions, we still have 5 minutes. So if you would like to speak, you can raise your hand, or if you prefer, you can leave a message in the Q&A box or the chat box. Or if you're joining us from Facebook, and drop a comment in the comment section. Just your question. It seems we still have another question from James Odiafil. James, would you like to ask another question?
Yeah, regarding the threshold of 10,000 to participate in this new program, is Vetiva going to put forward a process, for Naira conversion, or we have to bring the dollars or the pounds and cash to your account, or is something that you can facilitate?
Well, for right now, we are unable to facilitate the dollar conversion. So we usually require that our DOM account be credited with the currency that is either USD or pounds, which is required to make the purchase. But most definitely, we can, like I mentioned, you can get in touch with us after this meeting, and we can find out how we can help you with that, if we're possible.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for that question. I saw that Boasin had his hand raised earlier. If you would like to speak, Bill.
Yes, good morning and thank you, everyone. I was just, thank you, Madam, for your presentation. I was just to ask if you'll be looking at if there are opportunities for those who are, who are within the African space in other jurisdictions in African markets that can participate in some of the product offerings that Vetiva is putting out in the market. Are you doing more on the Pan-African side as much as you're targeting those who are from the developed markets? Thank you.
Oh, thank you for that question, Dozin. Well, thinking about it from both sides, we are working on signing on brokers from other African markets to give access to the Nigerians. Looking at clients from other jurisdictions, it is possible, but of course, will be subject to our typical KYC requirements. So I will leave that those legal details for the legal guys. But most definitely, we are, like I mentioned, trying to expand our list of brokers every day to include brokers from other African markets.
Thank you very much, Madam. I appreciate it.
Thank you, everyone. We have now come to the end of today's meeting. If you have any further questions or require further clarification, do feel free to send messages to either sales@vetiver.com or trustees@vetiver.com, and we will get back to you as quickly as possible, and they'll be happy to hear from you and to deal with any and all of your inquiries. Thank you for joining us today. We hope that you enjoy the rest of your day. We urge you to continue to stay safe and enjoy the rest of your day, and have a good weekend. Goodbye.